Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Monica. I'm a tarot reader and astrologer based in the Whitsundays. That's in North Queensland in Australia, and today I'm looking at the tools of the tarot trade that I personally choose to use. Now, I'm gonna make a couple of disclaimers before I make a start and get into it. And the first one is, if you're new to tarot or I guess the whole spiritual practices and community in general, you don't really need to obtain anything more than a tarot deck, and those you can actually obtain fairly at a fairly affordable price. So I'm making this disclaimer because I think a lot of people, when you start out on the journey especially, but at any point throughout the tarot journey, I think it's easy to get caught up in all the tarot related paraphernalia that is being peddled out there. A lot of it quite unethically, might I add, and feel like you have to spend a lot of money to make your tarot practice legit, or to make it, like really spiritual, or whatever you might think adds value to your tarot practice. And that's not the case. You don't actually need to buy anything at all other than a tarot deck, as I mentioned. But I wanted to make a comment there, because while that is absolutely valid, as a somewhat seasoned reader with over a decade, well over a decade of experience under my belt, as time went on, I found that there are certain things that I find very useful, that aid my tarot practice, that aid my readings and things like that. So I just wanted to show you some of the things that involves today. But disclaimer number 2 is that I don't represent any company of any of the products that I'm showing here today. I have purchased all of these myself, or they have been, I think there's one that's been donated to me very kindly, and I'll mention what that is when I get to it. But basically, I'm not here representing private companies, or I haven't been paid for any of these products to show them or anything like that. I think I just want to make that clear, just in case you think I'm under some sort of influence of, businesses in Australia. And that's actually the third disclaimer. There's actually 3, is that I'm pretty sure that everything that I'm going to show you is made here in Australia. And I think I'll put the links in the description box below if you're interested to check any of these products out. But for me personally, I am based in Australia, and I try and support Australian businesses as much as I can, especially when I come to buy things that aren't, like I said, necessary, but, that enhance my readings and that can actually be purchased within Australia. So I think for me personally, that's a really important consideration: what we buy, where we buy it from, and what ethical considerations were made at the manufacture of the products that we buy. I think that's absolutely imperative once you walk down the spiritual path. It's really, really important, because the power that you have to influence business decisions and practices. And I think if everyone started adopting that, then it certainly makes for significant change when all of our individual decisions are accumulated. So anyhow, that's a different story for another time. But I just wanted to make that clear before we start. So let's get into it. So first up, you get your tarot deck, and it's perfectly fine in a box or in a tin. However it comes in, it's absolutely fine. You don't need anything else for it. However, some of us do prefer to keep our decks in a more luxurious container or bag, and that's where tarot bags come in. So I have made my own. Here I've got one that I actually knitted this. This is using like an eco yarn. It's a cotton, and it's so soft. It's absolutely beautiful. Like for cotton, it was incredibly soft, and it certainly was an organic cotton that was spun. It was grown locally and spun, and so anyway, I just really wanted to house. This is a Lenormand deck, so it's a very, very small bag that I knitted, and I put like this little charm. Someone sent it to me when I purchased the deck. It's a little bee. So yeah, I prefer to make my own where I can. However, I'm very challenged when it comes to spatial thinking. So if you need to sew, if any of you have tried sewing, you will know that you certainly require spatial thinking, because often you're sewing inside out, and you have to think about how the seams fit, if you're gonna have like inserts and all that sort of stuff. And I struggle with that. Like, I thought I would sew my own bag. How hard can it be? And I just it was all right. And I obviously, with practice, I'm sure I'll get a lot better, but it'll take a lot of practice. So a while back, one of my subscribers here on this channel, she saw me talk about the Burning Tiger tarot deck, which comes in a terrible packaging. It's like a flat pack box, and you have to put it all together, and then it doesn't even fit. The box is too large, meaning that the cards shuffle around in it, and the box just doesn't hold up to wear and tear. So she very, very kindly offered to send me a handmade tarot bag that her mother actually makes, and she helps her mom make these. And this is what came through. And I'll put the link to her Facebook page in the description box below. I think it's called the Tarot Bag Ladies. I'll have to check that and just confirm that. Apologies for not quite remembering it. But if you check the Facebook page out, you'll see that they make these incredible custom bags that are impeccably made. Like the stitching, you can't really see it on the video, but the stitching is immaculate. There you go. So it is absolutely superbly done, much better than I could have ever anticipated or tried to, and probably taken a fraction of the time it would have taken me to make a bag like this. So yes, tarot bags are absolutely something that you can either try and make yourself, whether you knit them like me or sew them, or you can seek local suppliers from where you're living, from the country that you're in. The other thing that I really like about these bags is that they are, you've got the option of different materials, but there's certainly the option of having it 100% cotton, which for me is the material of choice when it comes to tarot bags. I don't do polyester or any plastic mixes, rayon, polyester, organza, anything like that. Anything that contains synthetic fibers, it's a no-go for me, because I like to think that when I finally pass from this tired old earth, that should these end up getting discarded, I mean, obviously you hope that the legacy is continued by someone and that these are appreciated further down the line, but at some point this bag will come to its end of life. And I like to think that when that point happens, that it can just be composted back into the earth. I think that's such a really beautiful thought. So anyhow, and I think that they're a really inexpensive way to make sure that you bring in some beauty into your tarot world, into your tarot practice, and they don't have to be expensive. You can purchase them fairly inexpensively locally. You don't have to spend $50, $60 buying, vintage kimono silk tarot bags, although I have done that, and that is beautiful, and I have nothing against it. I'm just saying that there are affordable and inexpensive ways to obtain a tarot bag. The second thing I want to mention is candles. So as a tarot reader, I think lighting a candle is kind of part of the practice. of tarot reading. There's something really beautiful about it. I am a fire sign, so I absolutely have to have a candle burning somewhere in my room. And excuse me, I have to drink this before it gets cold. And there's a plethora of options about tarot candles or any sort of candle out there. And my rule, which is for me personally, is I don't buy anything made out of palm wax or soy wax. If you look into it, if you can go into Google Earth and look at the imagery from around Indonesia, Malaysia, where they have plantations of palms that have been cultivated, where they have deforested the beautiful jungles, and it's absolutely tragic. And yes, it's sustainable in that once you plant the trees, you can keep harvesting from them, but it's not sustainable in terms of the fact that you have to erase large areas of rainforest and jungle to make these plantations in the first place. And so when I burn candles for my tarot practice, and that's easily 95% of the time that I burn candles, I always go for beeswax. So I've got a couple of options that I purchase. The first one, I've got it as Happy Flame. These are taper candles. They're like pillars like this. This is what they look like once it's opened. And they're absolutely beautiful. So I get these from Happy Flame. This is Australian beeswax. They have the option to also purchase certified organic beeswax candles. And they make, their range of candles is excellent. I find that their taper candles are the best. Absolutely love the scent and the way that they burn. They're just absolutely amazing. If you're like me and you're highly sensitive to smells, you would love the smell of beeswax. It's not very strong. It's just subtle enough to let you know that it's there and it's present, and it's so beautifully warm and uplifting, but gentle at the same time. It's not a strong smell. It's not you don't feel like you're being hit with it, or you've got to sort of cover your nose and hold your breath until that scent passes. It's nothing like that. They're absolutely gorgeous, and you can tell they've perfected their craft. They've got a huge range of beeswax candles, and about once a year, once every couple of years, I put in like a really big order, and that lasts me quite some time. When I was in far north Queensland, I found a more local supplier, because I think these guys are from New South Wales, I think, from memory. So I think Happy Flame is in New South Wales, but being in far north Queensland, I wanted to find something more local, and so I found this lady that was doing candles up in the Atherton Tablelands. I think it was either Kuranda or Yangabara. I think it was called Beeswax Essentials. I'll put that on the screen just in case I get it wrong. And she did these beautiful, quite solid candles that I really, really love. And I love the fact that at the very bottom, she had this like little ceramic stopper, I guess, that she connected the wick to. I really, really love that. And it's got like a print of a bee on it. It was so lovely. I did recently go online to try and find her again, and it doesn't look like her website is there any longer. The Facebook page still is, so I'll link that in the description box below if any of you in Australia or from Queensland are interested. Now, these are by no means the only beeswax candle suppliers out there, and there's a lot more local beeswax candle makers than you would think. I actually came across some when I was in Cairns at the local markets. There's actually quite a few around. So for me, beeswax is number one. It's a truly renewable resource, right? You don't have to erase half the jungle or the rainforest to actually put bees in and to harvest their honey. It's such a sustainable practice that's been really practiced by our ancestors for thousands of years. And personally, I don't think that there's a better scent than the scent of beeswax. Now, talking about scents, and fragrances. I do personally like to, I guess you could say, anoint myself when I do a tarot reading, regardless of whether it's for me or for a client. I like to either put on an essential oil very sparingly. I have a very high tolerance to essential oils applied neat or directly onto the skin. And that's not something that I would recommend. A lot of people do find them really harsh, and they can't wear them on their skin. And a lot of essential oils you shouldn't put directly onto your skin. But for me personally, I know my tolerance level and I know what works for me. And I need to talk about essential oil providers, because I know that there's a lot of them out there, and in my opinion, most of them are either a multi-level marketing company, which no matter how sustainable they say they are, the fact is they're driven by the business bottom line, and therefore I think as soon as you do that, your ethical practices can easily become compromised, especially when you're like a very large scale multi-level marketing company. There's also providers of essential oils that are, they don't say where they source them from. So while they might technically be 100% pure essential oils, the fact is that they are of a lower quality. There certainly there's a spectrum in quality for essential oils. And me personally, I haven't tried every single essential oil provider out there, but when I was up in far north Queensland, I came across one that stands far above the rest, and that is Rare Earth Oils. So here I've got their lemon scented gum, which is an Australian sourced essential oil. So these guys go out into the field. They actually take their distilling kit with them, and they actually harvest and distill some of their essential oils on site, where they actually harvest the leaves from, which is incredible. Not only that, but the quality is amazing. They last far longer in a diffuser, and I've just found them to be incredible. And the lemon scented gum, it's absolutely stunning. It's the most gorgeous scent that I've ever come across. I can't even describe it. It's uniquely Australian, and I burn this quite often. I really love it. But they have a whole range of other ones. Like I've got clove here, clove bud. Personally, I'm a fan of frankincense, and there's a couple of others like patchouli. So, the bottom line is I wouldn't mention this company unless I've tried it, and I have found it to be superior to virtually all the others that I have tried. I've also looked into them as a company, and they have highly ethical practices, and they're not-for-profit, and they support not-for-profit initiatives. I did speak very briefly with the owner at when she was running a market stall, and she was mentioning all the research that they're doing in conjunction with the university into the efficacy of certain oils. So anyway, I think they're absolutely stand above the rest, and they're the ones that I use. Now, I don't always use essential oils, and sometimes I do prefer a bit more like a perfume per se. And now, standard perfumes are awful in terms of how they're made. They're actually quite toxic for you. They have hormone disruptors, by the chemicals that they actually put into them. But you don't have to resort to those. And I have found a couple in Australia that are absolutely stunning. First one is called Tinderbox. And when I first saw this in my health food shop, I thought it looked a bit too hippie for me. Like I was a bit hesitant to try because of that. I mean, I love the fact that this is wood and that it's in a wood container. But I think that the image, that hand-drawn image, I kind of felt like it might be a bit too strong or a bit too florally. And that's not the case at all. So this one's called Visionary, the Visionary Cream Perfume. And I wish they could have made smell-o-vision because it's absolutely stunning. And it says on it that it's a meditative perfume that assists us to see through the veils of illusion, enhancing direct perception. Like a fragrant light bulb, it opens us to the vast interior realm of unified consciousness. And it really is a beautiful, beautiful scent. I'll give you some of the ingredients, like some of the essential oils that it uses. It's got frankincense, Australian sandalwood, vetiver, cypress, Buddha wood, juniper, nutmeg, clary sage, cinnamon, and honey myrtle. And somehow all of those combine, and whatever ratio they've used, it really works. It's a stunning perfume. I love it. And the other one is another ethical one called Viva La Body. And they come in these really nice, like a cardboard type container that's obviously fully compostable, plastic free, no nasties, 100% vegan, no animal cruelty, and Australian made. And I have a range, I think they've got like about 4 perfume types, and I've used the moon perfume, which is a bit dreamy and a bit, as the name suggests, the moon, nighttime, fantasy. It's really, really beautiful. So that's what it looks like inside. So it's like a solid bar of perfume that you take up a little bit, or you just roll onto your skin, and it pushes up. You push up with your finger through the bottom. I've nearly used this one up, as you can see, it's fully pushed up. And you just roll it on your arms or your skin, wrists, whatever you want to apply it. And it lasts for a reasonable amount. Now, they're not going to last as long as, your mainstream perfumes that you buy in the department store, because those are absolutely loaded with chemicals and synthetic fragrances to make them last like a whole day. And I like that. I only want this to last while I'm doing my tarot reading. I don't want to carry it the whole day. Sometimes I will reapply it throughout the day outside of my tarot practice, but I like the fact that it's not that strong. Something else I like to do is I like to make tea or have a tincture before my reading, or if I make a tea, I'll have it throughout my reading. So when it comes to that, I've found that taking certain tinctures helps me just feel a bit more relaxed, or it just brings me down a little bit, like brings a bit of calm to it. And I don't have the tincture bottle here with me to show you, but I'll mention that I started using a motherwort tincture that I came across when I was up in far north Queensland, from a lady that runs her own herbal business by the name of Alchemilla Herbals. Her name is Tatiana, and she makes the most beautiful tinctures and infused oils and things like that. And what I love about her is that she has absolute integrity in the way that she makes her products. She, this isn't someone that just orders herbs online and then, makes a tincture. It's someone that grows the herb, works with the herb, understands the herb, and sits with it energetically, and tries to foster that connection. It's basically, I think, that she straddles that bridge between Western herbal medicine as it stands and shamanic practices around herbs. And I absolutely love that about her vision and her ethics and integrity, right down to the sourcing of the alcohol. So she sources organic, certified organic, brandy, I think it is, for tinctures. I'll put her website link below if you're interested in anything like that. I've taken the motherwort because it's an incredible ally for me and for my, in particular for women and our reproductive systems. But also it's a really, I find like it's energetically calming, but it doesn't give you like a hit. You're not numb from it, and you're not like, you basically function like normal, but you just have a little bit of a calm or a calmer energy about you, if that makes sense. I've also used her infused oils. I don't know if there are any, if she's still selling any at the moment, but I got this infused oil that's like a wild lavender that she harvested herself. She found like a lavender patch growing wild, and it's just the most beautiful scent. I can't describe it and how soft and gentle and relaxing it is to use. And I've got to use it up because oils, the one downside to oils is that it won't last as long as a tincture, not even close. Like a tincture will last you for years. Although I'll never get to that because I just keep on drinking them all the time. And I need to order some more. So that kind of covers like the scents, the oils, the beeswax. Oh, and when it comes to tea, I will mention one tea that I make. You see me normally I normally drink green tea because that's during the daytime I prefer to drink green tea. But because it does contain caffeine, come nighttime I prefer to use a herbal blend that doesn't contain caffeine. And for that, I harvest my own lemon myrtle. So this is lemon myrtle that I've harvested. It grows wild, obviously, here in Australia. And it's really, really dry. And I've got to actually take this apart and put it in a jar. Like I strip the leaves off and then I use the leaves in a tea and it lasts for years. Like the scent of lemon myrtle will last you a good couple of years. Even here in the tropics with all the heat and humidity that we have, it still lasts a long time. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about crystals. I do like crystals. But the reality is that most crystals that you see being sold around are unethically sourced, or they're sourced from countries where labor practices are really poor, ethics are non-existent, and they're sold by unscrupulous providers and suppliers of crystals. No matter what they say. So when I was in Cairns, there was someone there that had a stall. They actually have a physical shop where they sell crystals. And I actually stopped by their stall at the market and I saw that, 90% of their goods are crystals, but then she had like a tarot and oracle deck section where the decks that were sold were all counterfeit. They were all fake decks. And you tell me, would you trust that person to sell authentically or ethically sourced crystals? Because I wouldn't. They actually justified the selling of fake decks by saying, they're just for like travel decks because they're smaller, which is such bullshit. You know what? You're selling a fake art that's fake, that's not paying the artists the money that they're due. And anyway, I can just go on and on about that. But that's really what you're faced with when you're buying crystals. Not only that, but a lot of crystals are actually adulterated. And what I mean by that is that they are heated, they're heat treated to high temperatures to change their color, and then they get passed off for other crystals. For example, here I have a crystal, and let's see if you can name what crystal this is. Hang on. Okay, have a look at it. If I told you that this is in fact citrine, would you believe me? Because citrine, as most of you would know it, is sold as a bright yellow color crystal, and that's not the natural color of citrine. Often it's a very, very dull yellow, and it's nowhere near as bright as you see it in the shops, where there's actually amethyst that has been heat treated to turn it yellow and they pass it off as citrine. Now this has been pointed out by, I'm not the first person to mention this. Diane Stein Stein, I'm not sure how you pronounce her name, has a really, really good little book on crystals. Hang on. Here it is. I've got it. Okay, Gemstones A to Z. All right, so by Diane Stein, author of Essential Reiki. I totally rate her. She's an elder now, and I don't think she has much online presence, but she has a few very good books out there. And she mentions the same thing about, the crystals being adulterated and being unethically sourced or, changed. For example, she writes about smoky quartz. If your smoky quartz specimen is shiny but completely and deeply black, it is quartz crystal that has been turned black by irradiation. The life force in the stone is probably dead, certainly wounded, and not a good energy for healing work. Natural smoky quartz is not black. When held up to the light, it is a translucent beer bottle brown. The only smoky quartz that is truly black is from Colorado and has a rough matte finish rather than the shiny glossy finish of irradiated quartz crystal. That's just one example, but there's many crystals that are heated or irradiated. So, you know, I think because of that, I'm really wary of purchasing crystals. And it's not that I don't want to. I would love to have a few more bigger pieces. But whenever I've seen crystals, they've been in the kind of shops that import cheap junk from China. Like, sure, they might have a couple of authentic or genuine Australian craftspeople's goods in their shop, but you can tell, and you know what I mean, you can tell that they've imported a whole bunch of crap from China, including their crystals, and there's no way that I'm spending money on that. So, I know I sound very opinionated on this, and that's because I am. I think when you walk down the path of spirituality, be it witchcraft or otherwise, I think you cannot separate your ethics from your purchasing power and your purchasing decisions. I think they kind of like go hand in hand. And I'm not saying that as some sort of like completely pure human being that has never made a mistake when purchasing products. Good knows, my 20s were atrocious. You know, I could look back at that and atone for my sins for a long time. But as you go down the journey of self-awareness and working with Mother Nature and nature spirits, you realize just how much of that is impacted by your decisions as a consumer. I mean, the bottom line is that I don't want to be a consumer. I actually want to be a producer. Be that a producer of a good or a service, like a tarot reading, doesn't matter, but I want to be much more a producer than a consumer. But, you know, I do like to have a few things that surround my tarot practice that make it, that provide a really nice ambience and atmosphere, and that make it beautiful and inviting and calm. And that's what all the things that I've shown you do. You know, they provide a sense of beauty, which for me is really important, to have like a beautiful atmosphere and a beautiful energy around my practice. But they also provide an energy of calm and relaxation, and they connect me to Mother Nature, you know, whether it's through my beeswax candles or through essential oils that I use or anything like that, natural materials and the cloths that I use. They just support that connection that I think is really important for me as a tarot reader. And one more thing before I forget, well, I actually did forget about this, I wanted to mention it, is your tarot cloths. So when I do readings, you know, when I turn the camera and I face it down, you'll see I often have a spread or like a cloth on the table. And how I source these is either secondhand through like op shops and things like that, and I always make sure that they're cotton or linen. Or what I also like to do, because I don't need to have a big tablecloth for the videos that I do, I like to source independently made tea towels. You know, you get like artisans that make their own tea towels and they do like block printing. So this is one of them. I haven't ironed it, but it's basically like a tea towel. And you will see at the bottom, it will say designed and handmade in far north Queensland by Mary. And this was someone at the Mossman markets in far north Queensland. She had these beautiful tea towels that had like really lovely prints, and they're made out of I think it's linen or very sturdy cotton, but I think it's actually linen. It feels a bit linen-y. Love that. So that's one thing. Or I find tea towels that have you know, prints that are you know, they might not be made by a local person, but they use prints from local designers or artists. So this is one that I got at the Cairns Museum. No, it was the Cairns Art Gallery. And there they had a whole range of tea towels by Aboriginal artists that I had made up. And okay, it's a bit touristy, you know, but I really, really love this. I love, and there's a story behind this, and if I find it, I'll put it in the description box below. But and I think it goes really well with, you know, the theme of astrology and looking at the star maps and things like that. Anyway, so that was my final final tool. It's not really a tool, but yeah. So yeah, that brings to a close all the things that I use for my tarot readings before and during my tarot practice. And I would love to know if you use any of these, or if you're based in Australia, what works for you and what have you found that's local or ethically sourced. I'm always interested in that because that's really what I support. And I hope that this video was entertaining or interesting for you. And as always, thank you so much for dropping in and watching and supporting my channel. Until my next video, take care.